Yeah, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Vlog
The one and only.
This is what I call my end of May unscripted vlog that I'm doing right now, and it's the second to last day of May. I've waited till the last minute again, which tends to happen lately. I gotta watch for traffic here. Now you see what I see, and it's good. It's good. And stop at the stop sign. See? Yeah, that's a good enough stop. Nothing coming. So unscripted vlog, you know. This is what it is, guys. I'm unscripted here, and as you can probably tell, I'm on a road that is in pretty rough shape. They just patched it. There are some potholes here that have been filled with loose gravel, and I don't know if they put any tar in there or whatever. Can't really tell. Yeah, they must have, but it's bouncy, it's rough, and it's a really wide road. This is 119th Avenue in Edmonton, and really this would be the ideal road to have a bike lane almost all the way. And it's been years, been like almost 10 years that I've lived around here, and so far still waiting for that bike lane. I would love to see that here. Okay, another stop sign, another clear passage. How awesome is that? Some of you are going to say, hey, you're riding this road bike, you should be wearing a helmet, and I was actually going to, but the honest truth is I was in the back alley and in the road, in the street, before I even thought of it. So in other words, I just forgot. So hey, here I am at a park in Edmonton, a park that I don't usually go to much, and I'm here to talk to you. This is my unscripted vlog for the month of May. Last minute, but hey, someone again commented, George, show your bike once in a while. Well, I got something special for you. Let's talk about bike. Let's have a look at this bike. I think you'll like it. You'll like what you see. This is a vintage road bike. It's got 27-inch wheels. They're steel. They're not aluminum. They're not carbon. They're not aluminum. They're steel. The most modern part on this bike are the brakes. They're Shimano Tiagra brakes. Everything else is vintage 1980s. See that hub? Yeah, this front wheel, I got it from the community bike shop as is. Only put new tires on and trued it. The rear wheel, I got it much in the same way. However, there was no hub with it. So it was just a rim. The rest I had to make myself. So this is a very good hub. Shimano. It could go in a much newer bike, I guess. Same thing for the rear brake. I had to modify this for it to fit. See, this is a piece I made from an old crank, so that I would have enough clearance for this brake. When you can see this. Now it's got 6-speed in the rear, and there's 2 in the front. So it's a classic 12-speed bike, and the whole shifting mechanism, it's entirely Suntour, and that's including those down tube shifters. Now it says Bianchi on here, made in Italy, Columbus tubing. I'm telling you, this is fake. This is a fake Bianchi bike, but I don't feel bad about it one bit, because these bikes, they were made as Bianchis. They were also made as something else. Like this, originally it was a Eddie Bauer bike, or was it Eddie? No, it's not Eddie. Steve Bauer. That's what it was. That was the frame. The rest of the bike, it's entirely homemade. And so you may have noticed this. Aside from some other stuff that I do and get worked up over and whatever, my channel is pretty much about do-it-yourself. This the thing about the bike. I built it completely myself from parts, and there are actually videos on this channel that show you exactly step by step what I did, starting out with the frame. Again, I gotta point you back at this. See the yellow paint? I mean, it's got a few scratches on there now. It's not super perfect anymore. See there where the chain is, there's some rock chips and stuff. But for the most part, this paint has held up. So you know what this actually is, this paint? This is engine enamel. That I thought, because engine enamel is designed to get very hard when it heats up. The result speaks for itself. I mean, the paint got harder and much quicker than the other paint that I used on my touring bike, which was Tremclad, Rust-Oleum, and it's hammered finish, which I like, but it took forever to get hard. But I've since learned that it might be a good idea to put some hardener in that paint. Anyways, I want to show you what kind of seat I have on here too. This, my friends, is a Brooks B17. It's the most comfortable seat that I know of. You can see that it's a little bit tilted back. I've had people tell me that it's tilted back too far, and you know, that would be bad for my position on the bike. But you know what? The only thing that matters in that regard is when you ride it, are you comfortable? And I don't care so much about the efficiency. I see some people, they have it tilted the opposite way in order to go down into those drop handlebars more, which I have, but most of the time I'm holding myself on these hoods. These brake handles, by the way, they're also, I guess you could call it reproduction. They're from Amazon. They were relatively cheap and they came with these cables, so that was a good deal. The handlebars on this, they're actually from the community bike shop, and they are track handlebars. It's a very high-end alloy and aluminum, very light. A lot of riders would tell me that this bike's too heavy for them. I think if you're competing in the Tour de France, then I might agree with you, but other than that, I think this is totally fine. Having wheels that are made of steel, so they have more weight that is rotating as the wheel turns. It acts like a flywheel. The momentum you get with that, once you build up your speed with this bike, you know, it's very easy to maintain. And that's what makes it a whole different kind of ride, and it makes it a lot of fun. There's one more thing I want to show you. I bought it on eBay. One more thing that I found on eBay for this bike. And this is a Sugano Super Mighty crankset. This chain ring here, it's got 54 teeth. And the other one, I'm not sure. Most of this bike was made in Japan, and back in those days, the Italian bikes that were the more higher end, they were very light, they were more for competitive cyclists, for racing, whereas these mid-range bikes, they were made in Japan, but they're of course not super lightweight, but they're still light enough to have a lot of fun riding them. And that's what I like about this bike so much. Well, look at it, chrome fork. Like, I want to show you the rear derailleur as well. It's the original Sun Tour. Again, community bike shop. I fixed this up. It didn't look like this before, but it works flawlessly. I gotta do some touch-ups on this bike, but it's minor. Doesn't bother me too much. The front derailleur, it's also Sun Tour. I was hoping for a bigger ride tonight, you know, where I'd go a little further and really enjoy the ride because it's such good exercise riding this bike on the highway and building up a bit more speed. Now, normally when I do this, I put my helmet on and stuff, and I have to get used to that again, you know, because with this on the open road where I'm going a little faster and stuff, and it could happen that I have a second or so of inattention, and all of a sudden, whoops, there's something on the road that I didn't see coming, or, you know, yeah, it could happen, you know, I could wipe out, and sure as hell don't want to crack my skull or anything like that. But what you always have to keep in mind with cycling and the risks, especially when you're sharing the road with motorized vehicles, it's not just your head that's at risk. It's so much more. It's mostly your limbs, actually, that could get broken and damaged. And you know, there's really nothing you can do other than defensive riding. You have to be aware of what's going on around you. Change the subject again. On my channel this month, last month, and before, you have seen a lot about this 1989 truck that I'm rebuilding. You can see a pattern though, can't you? I mean, I rebuilt this bike. This was probably 3 years ago. Yeah, I didn't need to rebuild a pickup truck then because I had one. Yeah, it's going on 2 years. It's about a year and a half ago, a bit more. The pickup truck that I had disappeared without a trace. Hasn't been heard from to this day. I had no insurance coverage on it. And last year I was just mentally, I wasn't capable of even thinking about replacing that truck because, I mean, what was the point? You know, I'm over 60. Can I not just retire, call it a day, do something else, fly my drone, make money with the drone? That's what I'm trying to do still. But so far it hasn't worked. I make like $2.38 a week or something like that, if I'm lucky. But this handyman business of mine, even without the truck now, it's pretty steady. I can actually pay the bills and make a living with that. And now if one day this channel that I'm talking to you with, like this YouTube channel, maybe some more people will sign on to it and watch my videos more frequently, and that make me very happy because the ads that you see in between, well, that's how YouTubers like myself and others get paid. And it's not necessarily the most glorious thing, but it's the only thing that's worked for me regarding YouTube. So I do it more for the love of making videos than anything else. What to make videos about? Whatever is happening in my life at any given time. And you know, right now I'm rebuilding a truck and I'm putting my greatest effort into this. I mean, I didn't spend much money on this thing, but to make it worth it, I have to put my own sweat and blood and tears in there to make it the best it can be. And believe me, just like this bike, which was, the frame was already discarded by a community bike shop that actually should have known better. They should have known that whatever somebody called a cracked lug wasn't a cracked lug at all. You know, lugs are casted, so there could be some rough spots on there that may not look like it's perfect, but in reality there's nothing wrong at all. So that's what was the case with this bike, and that's how I ended up with it for very cheap. However, again, I didn't end up with a bike like this. I ended up with a frame that was rebuildable, and then everything else after that, well, I built it. I built it bit by bit. And right now, that's what I'm doing with my truck. And it always takes time. It always takes time. And with the truck, the parts aren't cheap, believe me. There's some stuff that I was hoping, you know, I could still reuse and whatnot. And every time I come across something like that, there's something else, you know, like it doesn't really work. So I have to buy a lot of parts still. Everything's got to work. Everything's got to be good in this truck. It's got to pass safety. And I'm hoping you can relate to some of what I told you about. It's kind of chilly out here. It's not bad. It's like, but you know, this is Alberta. It's going on 10 o'clock or something like that. I'm going home. I'm going for a bigger ride this weekend, and I'll perhaps take my little drone with me or something, and I'll share it with you. Today the weather was extremely windy. Wasn't that warm, but it was okay. And yeah, some of you may be in a heat wave by now. Others, I know in the United States there was a lot of tornadoes. We've been lucky here, but having said that, it wasn't always the most comfortable. Anyways, enough talking. Always a pleasure. I hope you joined my channel. If you didn't yet, I would appreciate if you subscribe to my channel, and of course give me a thumbs up. I'll be talking to you a lot more, and my intention is to do more videos like this where I'm actually sharing what's on my mind. Tonight, I have to admit, it's a little bit forced because yes, I waited till the last minute, not till I had the most best idea for a video. This unscripted stuff, just talking to the camera without any preparation, it's kind of like an exercise for me. It helps me get better at it. Thank you for listening, and maybe you want to check out one of my other videos. There's one on the screen there right now. And I'll see you next time.